Good evening, Misfits. Team Quarterfinals are officially underway. We just did some Instagram live action. You can head to our Instagram channel right now and check out Event 1 and Event 2 demos. Before we get into this, we really are trying to set the tone in these podcasts. So the old grip tester's coming out. And Sherb is going to come in last. I'm going to come in second. Hunter's going to come in first.
Boy, you really ruined it for the people.
Come on, you at least got to get 140.
Ooh.
Wow.
I've been meditating, bro. Let's fucking go.
Wait, what was it?
155.6.
155.
No pressure.
It was that. It's the pre-workout.
Oh my God. Sherb didn't come in last.
It's all right. It's a fluke. 155 to 148. Oh, you get mulligans these days? Fuck, I should have taken 800 mulligans.
Oh, it's in kilos. That's why.
My right hand.
Was that? Oh, yeah, no. What was that?
Yeah, you put it in kilos.
Zero?
He had it in
terrible.
He had it in stones. Yeah, you guys still suck. 75.
Holy crap, I didn't take an L. Took a sort of L.
Nice job, dude. Congratulations on your first not loss.
You took a V.
You're the first loser.
That's amazing. All right, so this podcast is going to be fairly short and to the point because, like we told you 2 weeks ago, Castro is going to program the same workouts. He programmed the same workouts. We wrote a team prep weekend with sort of the workouts that we have now. Obviously, we weren't able to guess the format. So hopefully you either did the quarterfinals, some of the quarterfinals, or downloaded the team PDF that we had for free on our site. But there are some nuances here, obviously. So we're going to go through what's different, especially about 1 and 2, because 1 and 2, sort of have their own feel to them compared to the individuals. But then also, as a team, how do you want to think about tackling these workouts when you're choosing the pairs? So event 1, 2 rounds each of 15 strict handstand pushups, 15 dumbbell hang power cleans, 100 double unders. After you switch back and forth for that, 15 kipping handstand pushups, 15 dumbbell shoulder overhead, 100 double unders. We get the exact same volume of the first 2 movements, and we get a little bit of a bump on the double unders. Sherb, you did both workouts.
Yep.
What was different about the team workout?
The team workout really didn't cater to my strengths when it comes to the double unders. It's a bigger set for me. So for me, like going into it, I knew that it'd be a little bit different feel. Trying to hang on to 4 unbroken sets of 100 double unders would be a pretty good feat for me. So kind of had that in the back of my mind going into it. I wasn't necessarily upset about the 15 strict handstand pushups or the 15 dumbbell hang power cleans or the kipping and the shoulder overhead. I did know that would probably slow down a decent amount. And that's why we're going to talk about most for a lot of the teams here is what does a set of 2 sets of 15 do to an athlete versus 3 sets of 10 with a little bit more rest in between those things. So for me, kicked up for my first set of handstand pushups. First set wasn't very smooth, wasn't very fast. And I knew right from the jump that I was in for it. Didn't feel as good as the 3 sets of 10. But, you and I talked about it afterwards. Being deliberate and potentially breaking that movement up to allow you to take less rest when you go to the jump rope is probably a good strategy for a lot of athletes who don't have great capacity with either the jump rope or with those gymnastics movements. The dumbbell to me is really a little bit unique. The first 2 movements, the hang power cleans, don't really do a ton, in my opinion, to really mess you up all that much. I mean, you said last time we were on a podcast that the front racks can sometimes give you a little bit of trouble. And then when you go to double unders, you go to something else that's shoulder intensive, give you a little trouble. I didn't tend to notice that today.
I mean, you go wrist extension, then you go grip, and you grab the jump rope. That's really...
Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference, again, other than the double unders, is just that 2-minute rest period. So when you do the individual version, you do 3 rounds straight, you have that like 1 minute of nuanced rest, and you do 3 more rounds. That 1 minute rest wasn't enough to really let the pump set into the workout. But this time when you got like 2 minutes of, or 2:15, 2:20, depending on your teammates, how much rest you got, there's a chance for that pump to set in. So after I, did the first round, I was like, uh-oh, like I can tell that this is going to get spicy in the second round. Was able to survive the second set of strict handstand pushups, but like going into the back half of the workout, it's like, I have to break up the kipping handstand pushups or I'm going to stand around. And I didn't do it the first set. And you came over after the first set and said, hey, next time you do go up, break up the handstand pushups, break up the shoulder overhead, and it'll make you get through the double unders faster. And while I was still fatigued, I do think that's the right strategy, especially if you're able to do a set, put them down, 1, 2, a quick little shimmy and pick them right back up versus, staring at them for, 5 or 10 seconds.
Do you think that's more a result of the slight increase in the handstand push-up and dumbbell movement, or the doubling of the double unders?
I think it's three things. I think both of those things matter, but I also think it's the intensity that you attack a workout when you know you're on a team and your teammate is waiting for you to get out of the way so they can do their work. Like there's a slight uptick in intensity because you're really trying to push, because you're trying to give your teammate, give your other three teammates as much time as possible to do the workout. So I would probably attribute my fatigue to more of double under than anything else, because I'm not very relaxed in that movement. But for a lot of athletes, it's going to be the bigger dose of, upper body movements that are, your upper body's primarily fast twitch. So if you burn it out in your first couple sets, like you're in trouble in those later sets.
Yeah, I feel like for a lot of athletes on the individual side, the 10-10-50, and I can say this because I'm, average, like an average or a hatchet level athlete, and I was able to burn through those pretty quickly. But if it were, 12, 12, 12, or, 2 sets of 15 is different than 3 sets of 10 when it's broken up like this. So I would be curious to know, I would also want to know, is the approach the same? So if I'm an athlete who did the individual version, for me personally, so I did the individual version, and it was just like, I'm going to light my hair on fire. And, by the end, my shoulders are going to be a little pumped. And it was actually the shoulder to overhead that really sucked. Is the approach any different? So you're saying it might not be a bad idea to break up sets towards the end, or do you approach it with the idea of trying to do it unbroken? And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
To me, it really depends on knowing yourself as an athlete. If you know that your set of 10 is something you can repeat fast over and over again, but that's sort of around your limit for being fast, then yeah, you can attack it the same way. Like if you're someone who can do 15, 20 strict handstand pushups kind of on demand, but if you're someone whose number is around that 10 or 12 mark, if you go past that, or you do the 15 unbroken in the first set, you are in trouble later in the workout. So it's really a little bit about knowing yourself and knowing that the individual version allowed you the opportunity to come back a third time versus 2 bigger sets. So to me, it does feel different.
Yeah, to qualify that, basically, Sherb went into his third round of the workout doing his first set of the kipping handstand pushups into dumbbell shoulder overhead, and he pushed himself to threshold and then sort of paid for it. So I walked over and said, hey, something's going to happen in this next round, 9-6, 9-6. At least then you know exactly where your breaks are, what you're trying to accomplish. I think this is like a tale of two athletes. This is a fast twitch athlete's dream. I looked at this workout and I was like, I am by no means fit, and it looks kind of fun because I can get, I'm the type of athlete that can get that stuff done pretty fast and then get that big rest that I would probably insert into any workout anyways. Yeah. So being able to cruise through that, and you saw that James has a little bit more of that in the upper body than Sherb does. So in Sherb, even though he has a lot of upper body endurance, starts out slow, you start to think about that time under tension. So if you're that athlete, if you know that you're relying on your fitness level, and you think there's a possibility you might break, I say break on purpose and get right back up, because then you're not looking at, sort of this disastrous effect that you've got there. Now, again, to qualify that, if you are on the women's side of this workout, you're in the back half, you got to take some chances as you're going through it, depending on where the clock is at. With the guys, pretty obvious, put your fastest guy first. That means that the slower guy gets a bigger rest period in that second go. You don't want him relying on both sets. The fast guy goes second and then cruises and he's like, what just happened? How did I get here? And then way more important that you do, the shoulder stamina of whichever, of your females is going to go faster. And then, the 30-minute time cap seems long, but it's not. I
was very surprised to look at the clock and be like, where are you guys at right now? I
thought we're moving pretty good.
I think it's just you can only go through it so fast.
If you guys weren't
alternating 8 rounds is a lot,
when they were moving fast, they were able to shave off about 15 seconds from that every 2 minutes. And that's what's going to give you the opportunity, to kind of go there. It's a fairly straightforward workout. You obviously notice that athletes let their arms come out, their elbows come out, and then they struggle with the double unders. So efficiency there is key. And one of the tricks that typically works for athletes like that is just make sure you keep hitting the ground with your jump rope. You get athletes that start to jump really high and get their hands out, and they're doing that because they can, sort of second nature feel that the jump rope is only passing underneath their feet. So that cue of, I really am trying to keep my arms down, but I can't hit the ground with the rope. that can help a lot of the times because you could see everyone just start to, it's just almost like the trick where you push your arms against the doorway and then they float up afterwards.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
Say that rest period giving you,
Damn, I forgot about that. I'm gonna go do that when I get home.
You're in the doorway right over there, bro.
Yeah, hold on.
Thinking about that pump though that we talked
You're like
about.
third grade science teacher is so happy right now. You're gonna try it again.
Holy shit.
Now, all I was going to say is that 2-minute rest period that you get, or about 2 minutes in between your rounds, does allow for more pump to occur. So like you have to be extra diligent. That's something I try to say on the live stream is like, if you don't keep your elbows tight to your sides, if you're not thinking about your posture when you jump rope, like you're instinctually just going to raise those arms and start tripping. And it did happen to James and I in those last 2 rounds. You start to see we're getting fatigue in our shoulders and our arms both start to drift up.
All right, event 2, we have male-female pairs, 70 synchro GHDs, split up 14 rope climbs, 70 synchro alternating single leg pistols, 50 synchro GHDs, 10 rope climbs, 50 synchro pistols. Hunter, you did event 2 from the individuals. You just did this workout here.
Yep.
You sort of said that it wasn't that much different.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit individual dependent, and I was, as everybody saw on Instagram, getting dragged behind the bus by Lydia. She, this much smaller, fitter woman, just put me in a big backpack, put me on her back, and just cruise. Yeah, it felt very similar. I was saying to you, like, if you're somebody who's really fit as an individual, you kind of have to, all 3 movements can't be like the cruise mode. You have to have one movement where you're moving pretty quickly. Obviously that kind of gets neutralized when you're with a pair. So the communication was definitely important. There was a little bit more to it. Whereas, with event 1, it's just like, when I'm done, you go. There's no, it's much more of an individual. This being probably the most synchro, or the only synchro workout, right? And there's nothing else in synchro. So just the timing aspect is important, knowing what your sets are going to be. I knew, just because Lydia had crushed me in the individual version of this workout, that she was going to have to be kind of that the lead athlete, which also meant my responsibility was to say, hey,
yeah, talk a little bit about that. The idea of you were able to go faster because she was going faster. Did you lean into that? I mean, do you have any advice for someone in a similar situation?
This workout was if it were any other workout, like that definitely applies. And this is much more personal because I have now done 270 270 more GHDs in like 3 weeks than I have in the past like 2 years. So, the movements aren't, rope climbs are fine for me. I would have been happier with 70 rope climbs and 14 pistols.
Me too.
Yeah. So it's more just knowing who's more comfortable with the movements. That person then becomes the like kind of pace setter. And I was able to try to stay with Lydia, but there were a few times where I had to be like, hey, we got to like stop. There were a couple no reps that I attribute to my just like forgetting to say like, hey, I need to rest. Instead, it was I just stopped and Lydia like started to do another pistol, and I was like, fuck, sorry, my bad, or sorry, live TV.
Sorry, mom.
Sorry, mom. She'd be fine.
She's watching.
She'd be fine with that.
She's watching.
She's definitely watching. Yeah, I think it really, you really have to pair each other up intelligently. The benefit to having the male female is that you have, I feel like a little bit more flexibility because you can choose what that pair looks like, and send, similar to the first one, I would send the fastest athletes through first. Yep. We finished our pair in like just over 17 minutes. So we almost certainly would not have, our second pair would not have finished. So it'll be tight for sure, but overall feel was very similar, and I thought the rope climbs were actually quite a bit easier. Even just like that first one off the GHD, right, despite it being 70 instead of 60, I felt like
you got those beginner's gains because you've never done those movements before.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, probably it was a lot more comfortable. It still took me 3 pulls to get up the rope, where normally it would take 2, but I felt the rope climbs weren't hard. Yeah. I was like I said, I wish they
sometimes
were more
though. I mean, 3 pulls sometimes when you're trying to keep your heart rate down a little bit just makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was joking. My Whoop didn't even think I worked out. Like it didn't even detect an activity. I was feeling so sorry
chill.
for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny because during your workout, Drew came over to me and goes, I think Hunter's moving faster with a partner through those GHDs than he did solo. And I do think there is some element.
Yeah,
there's an element of that in the workout.
I kind of forgot the original question, to be totally honest. But with with the GHDs, because I think her range of motion was a little bit, I guess, not short. Relatively, it's pretty similar, but she was just moving. She was able to move her body faster on the we talk about the individual rep speed a lot of the time. Her individual reps were faster than what mine would have been, so I had to move faster, which I don't think necessarily hurt. It wasn't any harder.
You certainly get more contractile potential when you move that way. Sometimes when you know that there's a super long workout, you become methodical, which turns into time under tension. So. Sometimes that can help.
Yeah, the GHD, I was definitely trying to keep up with her a little bit more. The pistols, I can only feel comfortable moving so fast with those. So I was a little bit selfish in that regard. Like, this is how fast I can go. I can't,
right.
I'm sorry. But the GHDs, I'm like, I don't like it, but I'll go faster because you're going faster.
If you get into a situation too where you're not positive who your faster pair is, that's where we go back to the episode we did with Cody. Check out any place you can get our podcast, and we did an entire episode on team workouts with Cody Mooney, and we talk about pairing the right people from a personality standpoint, from a I know these people are going to do well, but I know that this person's going to be able to talk that person through their pistols a little bit better, whatever it is. So if you start to wonder where you're going with that, go based on personality and relationships a little bit more, I would say, if you're looking at it from the standpoint of, we're all similar in this, we're not 100% positive where that's at. Make sure it's a good pair, because we always say a happy athlete is a dangerous athlete.
We see that with Lydia and Hunter in the workout too. There's someone who genuinely like being around one another, so the pairing made sense, and I feel like she was able to, like you said, drag you behind the bus, but able to get you to go at a pace that maybe wasn't your normal pace. I mean, you clearly said that this is 70 reps were done faster than my 60 reps were.
Yeah.
And it was individual. And it's just like that, having that right person and the right way to speak to one another, it builds a better bond between the teammates, but it also gets you both to have a better score.
And as the individual athlete, you have to know, you would just accept that you were going to be stronger in some things than the other. I knew that I was definitely going to be the weaker of the pair. So it was accept that, and that is a role too. It's not, you're not the weak link. Playing the role of the slower athlete is a role when it comes to being.
Sometimes it's nice to have a pace car.
Yeah, and it's for just about every reason that we just talked about. But kind of there's an important aspect of know your role within as far as how it works with the team. If you know that you're going to be that slow person, be okay with it. But obviously, you gotta push yourself a little bit. Yep. But being the grinder, so to speak, is a role on a team
for sure. All right, event 3, male and female pairs each complete. Athlete 1, 100 wall balls, 120 calorie row. Athlete 2, 120 wall balls, 100 calorie row. Both pairs start at the exact same time. So basically what you're doing is, the men look up and see that they, finished at 18:04, and that's one of your scores. And then the women look up and see that they finished at 18:05, hopefully. And you're good to go there. There isn't a ton to say about this workout that hasn't been said already about event 3 from the individuals. The only thing that you can do in this workout typically to improve is to spend less time doing wall balls. It's kind of a shitty thing to say, but it's definitely the reality. Every single athlete that we talked to when they were done, the only thing that they said was, I think I could row similar even if I had done, because the wall balls just kind of sucked because they were what they were. So the idea of, 80 and 40 versus this and this, there wasn't that much nuance there. So what I would say is, I would say it after Helen. Helen's the type of workout where it feels really bad while you're doing it, and the second it's over, it's easy, and you were like, damn it.
Yep.
Those kind of workouts. So I would say in this workout, you're going to be able to row, a little bit faster or right around your 2K pace time. That's roughly where we had a lot of athletes seated at. So if you already know that, and you can do that, and you've spent all the hours on the rower, your body's going to be able to rise to the occasion and get that done. So take some chances on those wall balls.
It's again a very individual event, but that requires you to have kind of your individual data like readily available to draw as far as what your pace on the rower is going to be. It's easy. You should like either do the I can't even remember
why we talk about
do the unit conversion or go to the concept 2 and see what what do I need to do to get what am I going to row if I'm rowing
Google
a 145
search of calories per hour translated to 500 meter split.
Yeah.
If you type that into Google, there's a click on images, there's a bunch there, and it basically tells you, because most people, their data is based on their 500 meter split. So you go in and find that and say to yourself, okay, I mean, I'm rowing for anywhere from 4 to 7 minutes or whatever it is. Like
we know that the 20 fewer wall balls is probably about 40 seconds. And then we know that 20 calories is probably close to probably more like 50 seconds or a minute, depending on who the athlete is. And other than that, it should be, you can also use the data point of, if you did the individual version of this, it's literally 20 reps different one way or the other.
Right.
So you have an idea of what you can hold and what,
guess every team is going to have on both the male and female side, one of them say that they like wall balls a little bit more. Yeah. You would have to guess that.
Yeah.
And that to me is an easy thing where those 20 extra, just sort of knowing that, I get to stop doing my wall balls 20 early and go do that. Like, if that makes sense to me.
I mean, this workout kind of sort of what you were saying a second ago, Hunter, about like having your individual data is, again, going back to what we talk about all the time with team athletes. Like, you need to be training on your own so you can figure out what that information is. Like, you could have done a very similar team version of this workout where you're trading 20 calories back and forth and 40 wall balls back and forth, but then you wouldn't have that same exact data that you need to call upon, like Hunter was saying a second ago. So, like, again, not to plug the fact that like we provide teams with individual and team workouts, but there's a reason we do that, is because we want you to have that data for yourself. And 95% of the time, 90% of the year, you should be training on your own. But like we said in the Cody podcast, it's important to figure out those nuances of working with someone else, but most of your time needs to be spent figuring out your own data, so that when you come to the table with your 3 other teammates, you go, all right, like, I know I can hold 1,300 calories an hour, I know you can hold 1,100 calories an hour, I should do the 120, you should do the 100. And that's how you make those decisions a little bit more readily and a little bit easier for yourselves, versus being like, I don't know, what do you like to do? I don't know, what do you like to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Event 4, 4 rep max front squat. We'll take the time to say, hopefully you have done this already.
Yeah.
This should be your fresh workout. And yes, you should probably take another chance if you feel like you didn't do a great job. But when it comes to the teams, are 4 separate people going to figure something different out 2 days later? Probably not. But again, it's not that big of a deal to retest it. We had athletes who felt broken that almost PR'd, going through it. So it's not a big deal to retest, but we're hoping that you are doing this as we speak.
Ideally that's, 1 attempt or maybe 2, but you never know. If someone does have a bad day, it'd be very easy for one partner maybe to add 20 pounds, where one partner loses 5 pounds, then your net is 15 extra pounds. So like,
right.
To me, that does warrant the opportunity, as long as you're not feeling completely broken, or you've done the team event number 2 twice already and you're like, oh shit, I should probably front squat again. Like, maybe not, but again, talk to your teammates. This is why it's so important to have that individual data to figure out roughly where everyone is, and to make a smart judgment on whether or not it makes sense to do another attempt.
Go ahead and put your weightlifting shoes on, grab your belt, grab your knee sleeves, and for the love of God, squat between your feet. We see so many athletes with so much strength in their legs, in their midline, good shoulder flexibility, and they sit back too far, or when they bounce, they send their hips back instead of staying tight in the hip, having that good squat stance and standing up. Again, what we mean by that is your butt sits down between your feet instead of behind them. Now, that plus a good front rack is going to do a lot more for you than anything else. But I would say the number one thing is learning to squat between your feet. Figure out how, when you hit that bounce, to keep your torso vertical. Now, if you can have the wider grip, thumbs wrapped around and wind your elbows in, the thoracic spine is going to, be able to fight that a lot more. But I would say a lumbar spine and all that is sort of a prerequisite to getting the right thing, because, you know, we could have someone with great shoulder flexibility, shitty ankle or hip range, and what we're telling you about how to create that shelf doesn't matter quite as much. So saw a lot of people dump their fourth rep when it looked like they were going to get it because of how they sat back into the squat or when they bounced their butt shot back. So grind through that vertical squat over, you know, going into those back squat movement patterns.
Is there any so the same 20-minute cap, but everybody's sharing one bar?
Is that the case?
Yeah, everybody's sharing one bar, and you use the same 45-pound bar. I don't think that would make a whole lot of a difference for women who typically use a 35. But whereas with the individual, you could basically make an attempt, doesn't go well, okay, I'll restart the clock here. You know, is there a strategy as far as sending your lighter squatters first?
I think you would have the women go first, and they would definitely start in that same range. So the weakest person on the team needs to open up, 80-90% of what they think they can hit, like very close to what they think they can hit, because you're probably looking at most three attempts when it comes to this. Now,
we're still assuming that everybody's warming up individually beforehand.
Everyone's warming up individually beforehand, and once the two weakest athletes go, there's nothing wrong with sneaking in another warm-up rep or two. That's not going to hurt anything at all. I wouldn't touch the weights. I don't think it's necessarily worth that. But I mean, you're still looking at, you can get two athletes through this in, 6-7 minutes, something like that.
Sure.
It doesn't take very long. And then you can build up to go to that place. So there's a tiny bit of strategy. I think most teams will have that figured out, but definitely your weakest athlete needs to open fairly close to their weight.
My strategy is take longer than you think you should to warm up. Get yourself super sweaty, get yourself super loose. This is one of those events that some people can just kind of walk in and drop into a beautiful front squat and I'm good enough, I'll start. Get yourself sweaty.
That doesn't mean your nervous system is ready. That doesn't mean the blood flow is there for a 1 rep max, type of feel. So
yeah, and it's one of the things we always talk about at Misfit training camps is we'd like to do Olympic lifts on that first night, and everybody's like, "What the fuck? I thought we were lifting. Why are we doing a Metcon?" It's because you aren't sweaty enough. You aren't limber enough. You aren't ready to do this. Your body is not in the state where it needs to be to lift really heavy weight. So take it seriously. Make sure you get yourself nice and loose so that you can't overwarm yourself up for a 4 rep max front squat. I don't think. Outside of doing 4 reps at every single weight from an empty bar all the way up to your weight by fives.
Maybe 120 pistols and 120 GHDs wouldn't be, but I don't know. Did Austin do that? Austin did that first, and then he
front squatted.
No, he front squatted. Yeah, okay. It was the wall ball workout that he had to do afterwards.
Right.
Yep. All right, event 5. We have the 963 again of the snatches and the burpee box jump overs. Little bit of nuance here. Women's weight is 125, men's is 175. The boxes are at 24 and 30. It is female, male, male in the order. I don't really think that it matters what order your females go in. The only thing that I will say is if you have someone who's nervous to do it, I don't know. You could argue in both directions. You have someone who is nervous to do it. You could think that they might be able to feed off of the energy of seeing it done and knowing that it just is what it is. But I think that would be a very I would want to talk to the people that were going, because there's also just the idea that let's get this done.
You could argue either way.
Yes.
I would say put that person who maybe is nervous first. Just don't let them sit there and kind of sit and watch and go, someone failed a rep or they don't look sure going over the box. No, just turn the clock on it and just go.
Everyone's already seen this workout already.
Yeah, exactly. They know what they're coming into.
The only caveat I would say to that is if you don't think your team is going to finish under the time cap, then obviously you send your faster ones through first, because that's your tie break. Is the time of your last completed athlete. So
right. Yep, that makes sense.
That's where you would want that. But otherwise,
this is a much more doable workout for the women than it was in the individual. That 10 pounds is worth its weight in gold, and those 6 inches are probably even more important. Yeah. You could tell that a lot of the shorter athletes were wondering, they metabolically felt like they could get over the box, but they were wondering if their, actual physical limbs were going to make it over.
Saw that firsthand in Caroline's eyes from 3 feet away for her literal last jump. She was just like, fuck, why are you at eye level?
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry, Mom.
So Man, I mean, this workout is it just is what it is. I hate to say that. I honestly don't even like that sentence when it is used in the right way. It's a stupid thing to say, but it's hard to really get down to. You have to do this workout, and it's a great equalizer. If you start out too hot, guess what? You slow down and get the score that you would have gotten if you were slow through. Like, there's really just no, like, if you have no business touch and going, yeah, you could screw yourself up a little bit, but you probably know that about yourself.
Yeah, this was my favorite individual test, and will probably be the same for the teams too, just because it is, like, exactly like you said, it is, there is almost nothing you can do barring, like, a technical mistake that you failed a snatch or something like that. Whatever time you get on this workout is exactly the time that you should have gotten based on your fitness level. There's no real gaming it. Like, it's a good like kind of intermediate challenging weight selection. Burpee box jump over obviously has that super high metabolic demand, but it's like, whatever reason it was that you weren't faster than somebody else, it's a very easy identifiable reason, like, in your capacity. So it's a good test, and I think to me that's what a test is supposed to be. It's not necessarily something that makes you roll around on the floor. Like, obviously there will be some people who rip through that in a minute 45, like Tola.
Yeah.
But otherwise it's like, no, it's not to make you roll around on the floor. It's to see where your capacity is at.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add on this workout. Having done the individual version of it, and just like barely surviving it, like, this is one of those workouts where, hopefully you can feed off the energy of the team, and they're going to be screaming through, whoever's going next, hey man, grab the bar again. That, you want to feed off that energy. And I do think that the team atmosphere does bring out a special gear in people. So, use that gear to your advantage, and, essentially try to push faster than you want to go early on, and just don't make a mistake. And I mean, like you said, your fitness will sort of dictate whether or not you start touch and go. You might not end up touch and go that way, but
right.
Like, use the team energy to kind of help fuel you through this.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're talking about something that's more on the emotional side, more on the mental game side, and there isn't this specific prescription that you can give for it. But you have to let yourself lean into the power of the team. You have to let yourself do it. There are just some people in life that are too cool to let that happen in those scenarios, and you would hate to see that for the rest of their teammates. So lean into the fact that you have 3 other people that, you're depending on, they're depending on you. The power of that is intense. And we've coached enough athletes to see that are, like, unsure about the whole team thing. And then it's amazing. It brings the best things out about you, because you can't be selfish out there. You have to do it for everything. So my advice, while again, it's not a specific prescription, is to really lean into that. The weekend is going to start to get grueling. You're going to get really sore. You're going to be struggling through it. And instead of, dealing with it on that individual athlete level, which, can really put you on an island sometimes, go out there and lean into your teammates. It will help. You will do things that you've never done before. It's amazing.
Yeah. The team atmosphere is one of my favorite things to be a part of, and it's fun to watch you guys go out there and do that type of thing. So, give it hell. I really think this is, while it's not drastically different from what we,
it's still a good test.
Yeah.
Like, when we're saying those things at the beginning of the podcast, it's just because that's what we're trying to guess for you guys, so you're more prepared.
Yeah. So I mean, just again,
we hazed everybody in our mock quarterfinal version.
Yeah, we should compare right now. How do we do?
Actually
Kind of going through. I saw you pull it up a second ago.
We were a little bit more
rude.
Had a little bit more synchro, synchro and.
Yeah, we were going for the team building,
like really like a real team workout rather than kind of individual. But yeah, 20 rope climbs, 80 synchro GHDs.
Yeah, right on par.
Man, we suck.
What's the difference? It's training, overreach. Let's
Synchro
go.
Wall balls row, relay style, snatch burpee box jump over.
Yeah, that would hurt. That would hurt really bad, because you would be ready for all of it, and then you would be rolling around on the floor afterwards.
Yeah,
that's
every
time.
Take
that's
those
fair.
Big sexy rest periods. All right, so as we said in the previous podcast, if you are a misfit and you are on a team and you're competing, we would love to know. Please let us know. Email, Instagram. I don't think anyone uses Facebook anymore, but if you want to use Facebook, that'll link back to our Instagram anyways.
Any of us know.
yeah, let us know. Let us know how you're doing over the course of the weekend. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, if you need a little pump up speech, if you need, any tips on any of this stuff. That's what we're here for. And if you qualify and you want to represent Misfit Athletics wherever you're going, we'll send you some cool shit. So make sure you reach out and contact us so we know who our Misfit teams are. We knew how the individuals were because we had the leaderboard. The team thing is not quite as easy to figure out with Misfits sort of scattered all over the world. We just had a release, Sharpen the Axe. Head to sharpentheaxecode.com for the coaches collection. I'm not going to lie. The coaches pants are one of my favorite products we've ever made. Like, for real.
Yeah, they are.
There's sort of just a functional element to them. That's great. I think they look good. I think they're comfortable, and just being able to have that chameleon style. Like, I go from typically looking how I would normally look at work to walking in here and I don't change. I just get after it. And I did that anyways in like jeans and stuff, but it's much nicer in the coach's pant than it was in the jeans. I can confirm when it comes to
You gotta like
bar
that you
better
can
in coach's pants than jeans.
You can coach in
I
them.
kept PRing my Toast Bar sets in my jeans, so I stayed with it. I don't chafe as much in my coach's pants, though. I don't know if that's too much information for the podcast.
Not enough, actually. Keep going.
And you know what? If you're watching on the YouTubes or Facebook or whatever, this bottle right here in the front, that's your proper fuel. If you are about to kick your own ass over the course of the weekend, 4 scoops after every workout is going to help you. You can head to properfuel.co. Purchase a jug of proper recovery. You can use the code word Misfit to save on your very first order.
Should have done 4 scoops after those 70 GHDs.
Yeah, you should have been having scoops in between.
One of those beer hats that has one on each side.
Scoops in my eyes.
And we'll do, because the diehards are the one listening to this podcast right now, we'll do a little teaser. I took a product development product before the workout with Sherb that you guys are going to see on YouTube next week, and I lost to him by 2 overall reps in the whole thing. So, here in an unknown amount of time, you're going to also be able to head to properfuel.co and get the product.
Lydia took it too, and she was just like, I am ready to run through a brick wall.
Yeah, she beat the shit out of Sherb. It was awesome.
They're fighting me.
Please.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Nope. Enjoy the weekend.
Hell.
We'll be back for you AGOQ, folks.
Yeah.
Keep prepping.
Semifinals prep is underway. Competition block 2 is
More
underway.
Virtual. Did you guys see that? More virtual.
Yes,
online semifinals.
More virtual online semifinals. We will get all the way into that in some future podcasts. Good luck to all the teams out there. Good luck to everyone trying it out just for fun, like us bozos, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.